Hello, this is Randy. Welcome back to Brain Break with Randy and KeithO. Again, it's just me. I wanted to tell you a story about a situation I dealt with when I was a younger man. Um, One of the families that had a couple of the boys that I worked with in that scout unit, the father was in law enforcement. And I was not unused to getting calls from these boys for quite a few different matters, but this call took me by surprise. The boys called me from a neighbor's house. This is before caller ID, so it was safe to answer, and pleaded with me to come and save their mom and their sister. And I said, "Save them from what? From our dad." And I said, "Your dad? What do you mean?" And they said, "Well, Dad's not dad. He's having a bad time. You need to come save him. Save us all." And so these two older boys had been able to escape. I'm not sure where the younger son was, but the dad had the mom and the daughter cornered in their back bedroom. He was threatening them. And so I called our bishop, the ecclesiastical leader, and he said he'd heard about it and he was on his way. And so I drove, and it took me 15 minutes to get there, but I beat everybody. And I caught up to the boys, and they took me back. Now I go in completely unarmed. I don't know what I'm facing. Well, it turns out that this man is armed with his service revolver as well as a knife that he has out of the sheath. And he's not trying to stab her, but he's not very coherent either. So I'm trying to talk him into relaxing and coming with me. And I finally get him to recognize who I am, and that takes minutes. And by that time, our ecclesiastical leader, who's also a friend of his, is there. And between the two of us, we get him to give us his gun, give us his knife, and we go sit down on the lawn out front. We're kind of holding on to him, but we're also comforting him. And his wife comes out, and I said, "Why don't you stay here and I'll go call the police?" And she says, "Oh, you can't call the police. He would lose his ability to be a licensed law enforcement officer." And I said, "But we can't have this happen again." She says, "No, we've got to find another solution." And so they were able to find a inpatient location he could go to where they would treat him literally with food. And found out that he'd been eating some food that wasn't healthy for him. And that's kind of what caused this break with reality. This wife, mother, uh, remained married to him until she passed away, and he is still alive. He's no longer in law enforcement, he has retired. But it was incredible to see the difference it made when he came back, and when he stuck to his diet, he was a different man. He was, I'm not going to say he was happy, but he wasn't grumpy any longer. And it was pretty incredible. I'm honored that those two boys called me. Um, I, when I was a missionary for my church in Venezuela, my companion at the time was from the same town we were serving in, Caracas. And his mother was the elevator operator for the Casa Maria, or the president's home, what we would call like the White House. It was both the office and ceremonial home of the president down there. And his mother had a psychotic break, and they called us, and we went to get her take her home. Now, he had a little sister that was 9. He was probably 18 or 19. And we were told to give his mother some medication every so many minutes or every so many hours. And when he went to do that, she literally bit his thumb. And I don't mean like lightly, it was bad. And we were finally able to get her some additional help, like back into a hospital and get the daughter taken care of with some family friends. But those were some of my first experiences as a young man with mental illness. I have since experienced it several other times, thankfully not personally, as in from myself, but seeing other people go through it and being able to recognize it and calmly being able to assist them. Um, Mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of. Um, it is something that we need to help our country get used to, the fact that there is mental illness out there and it's just like any other illness, we can get it treated. The key thing is once someone is treated is making sure they continue, once they feel better, to keep taking the medication, because sometimes those medications can make them feel drowsy. uh, they can make them feel even impotent, uh, and yet when they go off their medications and or try and self-medicate with something else, problems usually come up. And I know there are people that don't believe in psycho uh, having been treated by a psychiatrist with psychotropic drugs. But until there's a better solution, I just want people to be happy and healthy. And when someone is having a psychotic break or they're constantly in a manic state, that isn't a happy way of life. Uh, I've been around some people that are extremely successful because of their manic depression. Luckily, they're more manic than they are depressed. But to see them and how they treat people and how they get their way constantly because of the disease is not a good thing. And they don't really have people that love them because of the way they act. And I feel bad for them for that reason. Um, they drive people from them. So that's a little bit of my experience with mental illness. Uh, when I was a scout leader, uh, those boys thought I could do anything. And boy, were they wrong. But they called on me to do just about anything. And I'll love them forever for those experiences and their trust in me. Thank you so much again for joining me for Brain Break with Randy and KeithO. I hope you will take time to like and subscribe. And please tell your friends about this if it was an enjoyable experience. Share it on your social media. I would be honored. Hope you're having a great day. And again, thank you for your time.